Welcome back to the Peter Marine YouTube channel. I am sorry I've been away for so long, but please don't blame me. There has been a global pandemic and I haven't been able to get to a beach because they are all closed. For today though, we're going to forget all of our troubles and we're going to live vicariously through my boyfriend, who at the beginning of this year was lucky enough to go to Heron Island during turtle season. I know, living it up, cocktails, beaches, baby turtles, while I was stuck here in Brisbane doing absolutely nothing in my house like an absolute loser. But seriously though, his trip is actually a fantastic opportunity for us as a channel to explore a little bit more into turtles and their life cycle, specifically
the lost years.
Now, I know that's really mysterious, so I'm going to be a little bit mean and we're going to put that part of the life cycle right at the end of the video, so if you want to find out what
The lost years
are, you're going to have to stick around.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes, my cycle hums, ready to race to you. These days are all These days are all These days are all
Turtles generally spend most of their time in coastal locations such as coral reefs, foraging for food. Their main diets consist of algae and seagrass, but they opportunistically feed on things like jellyfish and subs. They generally spend most of their time alone, just swimming around, foraging for food, or sleeping. They sleep for about 11 hours a day in total, and they sleep in coral colonies or under ledges where they can wedge themselves under and be protected. Turtles only reproduce every 2 to 8 years. But before they do that, they undergo one of the most interesting migrations in the animal kingdom. To mate and nest, turtles go back to the exact same beach where they were hatched. Now, we don't exactly know how they do this, or how they even find where it is. At the moment, our best guess is that they have some sort of magnetic compass, and they're able to find their latitude and longitude from the tilt and rotation of the Earth's magnetic field. However, there's not really much evidence for this, except some early studies that looked at whether they could or could not detect a magnetic field that found that some could. Once the turtles reach their migratory location, they feed and mate in the water, and they appear in the thousands. Most of the foraging and mating happens offshore, sometimes a couple of kilometers away, not right next to the beach. And these mating sessions can happen long before nesting actually occurs, because females can hold on to sperm for months at a time. Then, when the females do decide to nest, they haul themselves up onto the beach in the middle of the night. It's awkward and difficult. They use their flippers to dig giant pits. It's expensive and use a lot of energy. It's hard work. But once the pit is finished, they will lay a clutch of eggs. There's usually about 50 to 130 eggs per clutch, and about 3 to 8 clutches a season, which means that this giant turtle has to hurl herself up and down the beach 3 to 8 times. Then, once they've finished their final clutch, and because they have absolutely zero parental care, the mothers will then haul themselves back down the beach one final time and yeet themselves back off into the ocean to feed some more and return to their lives. What a life. Meanwhile, in the pit, the sand incubates the eggs for about 6 to 13 weeks, where the turtles will develop. During this time, the general temperature of the nest will determine the sex of the hatchlings. The general rule we follow is cool males, hot females. Essentially, the hotter the nest, the more females you're going to get. Then we get to everyone's favourite stage, the hatchling stage. The babies will usually hatch around January to May. They usually have about 80% hatchling success, and they hatch at night because it protects them from predators. Once the hatchlings come out of their eggs and come to the top of the sand, they'll usually sit there for a moment. It's at this point that we think they imprint where they are. They sit there for a bit until the person that went before them kicks them in the face and they get ready to go. And then, oh boy, do they go.
Run.
They run frantically towards the ocean in something that's called a frenzy in order to reach safety. During this stage, the hatchlings are very vulnerable. They can be picked up by the air, or they can get picked off in the water too, because it really doesn't get any better there. Sharks are one of the biggest predators of baby turtles, because look at them, they're just such cute little bite-sized snacks. Wouldn't you want to if you were a shark? Despite it being absolutely adorable to watch their tiny little bodies go like little wind-up toys across the sand, it is incredibly impressive for the ones that are actually able to survive. This is why turtles have so many babies, just to be able to have a few survivors.
And now we get to the strangest part of their life cycle and the reason you all clicked on this video. Yep, that's right. We lose them. We just lose them. For the longest time, the most we knew about this part of their life cycle was that they just scuttled off into the ocean and then poof. And we couldn't really track which ones came back when, so we didn't really know how old they were and we didn't really know how long they were away for, so the whole thing got very complicated and we just ended up naming it The Lost Years. Until recently, we didn't even know how long they were gone for. It turns out it's about 3 years, or the same amount of time that you would want to be alone during puberty.
Oh my goodness! If it isn't my favourite niece. You're so big, sweetie. Oh my goodness, you've grown so much. Haven't you grown so much?
Now, you might be wondering, how in the ever-loving do you lose a turtle? Well, it turns out it's not that hard, actually. They're pretty easy to lose. Whoa. Do you mean to tell me that you can't even just put like a GPS tracker on this thing? GPS isn't like super great underwater, and also it's like, okay then, what about a tag? You guys are always going on about tagging, just tag it, put a tag on it. Okay, well they're also like very small. Okay, well then a camera, just stick a camera to its back. Have you seen the size of a camera? They're like, the baby turtle's very small. Oh, well, I don't know then. Why don't you just stick a balloon on it and let it float around the world? I don't see how that would be a good idea. But we do know a lot more now than we did before. For example, we now know that they take this pretty long 3-year journey around the South Pacific in a roughly anti-clockwise direction, following the currents. And during that time, they pretty much just forage pelagically, which technically means that they just eat somewhere in the water column relatively close to the top. And then eventually, they will return to a more coastal location where they can forage and sleep, and that's pretty much all a turtle does. They don't have a huge amount of mental capacity. I suppose they'd just spend some time running away from tiger sharks. But they'll be content and happy.
We admittedly don't know a huge amount about the length of their life stages. The numbers can vary wildly from source to source. We think they stay around various coastal locations, growing and eating until around 30 to 50 years old, where they reach sexual maturity.
And then, every 2 to 8 years, they hear that call, and they return to their birthplace to continue the cycle. There's a bunch more weird and quirky facts about turtles that I'd be happy to go into in another video, but I'm pretty sure that's all we have time for today. This is going to be a long one. Please like this video if you liked it and subscribe for more sporadically interesting content. But for now, let's get on to some quick questions. Now, all of these were submitted through my Twitter or my Instagram, and please feel free to do the same if you have any questions about anything marine life. Let's get on to them. All right. Okay, so we had a bunch of people ask how old they are. Well, usually they get to about 30 or 50, but if they're particularly lucky and they don't get predated upon, they can live up to about 150. So you're right, sort of like Nemo. Scout asks, what's their biggest predator in the wild? Sharks, absolutely sharks. Mainly tiger sharks, sometimes bull sharks, and maybe reef sharks when they're small enough. Kitty Cat Cookie Cakes asks, what sound do they make? Chantel asks, why are they so awkward on land but so graceful in the water? Well, it turns out if you spend 99.99% of your life in the water and you only come up onto the land every 2 to 8 years to do some clutches of eggs, and even then it's very, very, very small percent of your lifetime and only the females do it, then technically your evolution doesn't necessarily lean towards a land body. It's the same reason tortoises would be crap at swimming. No, God! Charlie asks, what is turtle shell made out of? It's keratin, same as your hair or your nails. Minnie asks, why are they so fecking cute? Probably because they have really big black eyes that are quite large in comparison to their skull, and that sort of shape makes us think that it's cute because that's how babies have conditioned us to make it think it's cute, so that we'll look after them. Fun fact, Penny asks, how far do they swim? A very, 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 very long way. I mean, they circumnavigate the South Pacific Ocean even within 30 years, so a long time. Maddie asks, will a female usually return to the same location to lay its eggs each time? Yes, every single time they go back to their exact birthplace. And this leads into our next question from Sasha, who asks, what tangible steps can we take to support their life cycles? We can protect the beaches where they nest. If we can protect nesting sites, then turtles have a much greater chance of being able to live their lives into the wild and grow their populations. Hey, so I didn't film this before, but I did just want to take the time to say thank you for watching, and please like if you liked it and subscribe if you want more content. But I also wanted to say a big thank you to all of the people who submitted videos and photos and just generally content for this video. As you can see on the screen behind me, it's pretty incredible. I wasn't actually there on the island while the turtles were hatching, so all of this has come from Gabe, my boyfriend, and his friends. I have all their names on the screen right now, as well as places where you can find them and follow them, and it will also be linked in the description below. So if you like what you see, absolutely check them out. They've got some incredible stuff. Also in the description below, you'll find sources to some of the ideas that come up in this video, peer-reviewed as best as I can. Not all of them will be there purely because a lot of it comes from my university degree and it's just sort of what I remember, but as much as I can, I've put peer-reviewed sources down below in the description so you can trust the ideas that are in this video. I also put in some links to some different turtle charities. And the last thing is that because of quarantine, it's highly unlikely I'm going to be able to go to a beach or go to a new location and find new content for you guys. So if there's anything that you'd like to see that I can film right here in my home, please let me know and I'll try and be as creative as possible. But that's really it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a lovely day. I think that'll